My son Bill and I have been crisscrossing the Barrington Tops, finding new four-wheel drive trails and revisiting some of our favourites. We've driven across all kinds of terrain, taken in the natural surroundings and peppered it all with plenty of excitement. Our base camp is at Pole Blue Campground in the National Park, and we've gone out every day exploring the trails nearby. The Tops covers such a huge area that it's easy to lose your bearings. One place that can put it all in perspective is the Devil's Hole Lookout. It faces south and the horizon just goes on and on and on. So the tracks that we're going on, Bill, any of them out here?
So one of the tracks we can try is that Barrington Central Trail, and it kind of follows along the top here around the other side, but it's shut over winter, so I've never done it before.
Awesome. Okay, should be a good one. While we have the best of intentions to tackle the Barrington Central Trail, there are so many other temptations calling us in, sidetracking us. Which is how we've ended up on Wombat Trail, heading towards a small series of waterfalls called the Cascades. We wind through subalpine forest, cross the Manning River, and then head towards the top of a ridge. The track here is lumpy and bumpy. This tip is brought to you by the Ford Everest. Both of these Fords are set up suspension-wise quite similarly. You see they've got an independent front end, so each of those wheels is sprung independently, which gives you really nice on-road handling, but on the back end they've got what's known as a beam axle or a straight axle. Now that doesn't give you as good a handling on road, but off-road it really comes into its own, because as one wheel is pushed up over that undulating terrain, it actually forces the opposite side of the axle down. So that can actually really get forced down onto the dirt and grab traction. It's a really nice setup, and particularly when you're going up a hill, which is when you need the most traction, that is when the back ends of these vehicles really walk, and you can see it really well on a track like this. We're thankful we've jacked up both of our vehicles with taller tyres and suspension. Bill has switched on a bit of extra control.
So coming up these little rocky sections, what I like to do is go onto the Ultimate 9 throttle controller and put it into an eco mode. So what that does is it makes the throttle way less jolty. When I'm going over bumps and stuff, I'm going to be less touchy on the throttle. So what that's going to do is it's going to dampen off the throttle, and it'll make it a little bit easier on the CVs and all the running gears in this Ford Everest.
Watching the rigs step their way up this incline gives you a great perspective of the hard work they're being asked to do. Talking about stepping, we've seen plenty of venomous snakes so far during our travels this spring.
Because there's a nice little 1.5 metre eastern brown just off the track here, you wouldn't believe it.
So we're stepping carefully in the bush. This tiger snake is from the Barrington Tops and is used by Craig Adams from Snake and Spider Safety Awareness to help educate people like us about surviving a snake bite.
So Craig, thousands of people get bitten by snakes through the year. Obviously no one actually prepares to get bitten, it happens, wearing shorts through the bush, stumbling into their territory essentially, aren't we?
Yeah.
But I guess the next step is what do you do while you're waiting to get to a hospital, and what is the best form of first aid? What are those steps?
Well, that part I would call managing a snake bite. So, if you're going bush, if you're into a bit of an adventure, managing the bite really is from the time of the bite to the time the emergency services arrive. So as a first aider, that's your area of responsibility, and that's the part that freaks most people out. They're thinking, I'm going to go blank, I'm not going to know what to do, and if I'm a long way from places, well, I'm going to be history. But nothing could be further from the truth. A well-managed bite is likely to be a complete recovery in this country, even though we've got the most venomous snakes in the world.
How about we run through a scenario, mate? Let's say that this guy's just taken out Bill, giving him a good nip.
I'll just stir him up so he gives a good envenomation. Will I do that?
I'm out of here.
Maybe not.
The best way to give yourself a good chance of recovering is to carry a snakebite kit with you and know how to use it.
Now, what's beautiful about these kits is you've got everything you need to treat a snake bite. They don't expire. You can put them behind your seat. And if there is a snake bite, when you open it up, you're going to expect to find everything you need to treat a snake bite, which is not always the case with your general first aid kit.
Craig's kit features a brilliantly designed compression bandage, which takes the guesswork out of how much pressure needs to be applied to a snake wound.
Yeah, so we've provided you with a pictogram. Basically all you need to do is take the rectangle, tension to form square, and that's going to put you in the ballpark of where you need to be. I'm going to start at the fingers. And just note, on your first turn around the fingers, don't go too hard, because you might have to wear this bandage for 3 or 4 hours, and you know what it's like to get a crushed handshake.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it's going to feel like, and it's going to be counterproductive. And that's really important with kids too. So I'm just going to start a little bit easier to get it going, but once I get to the wrist, I'm going to start to tension out those squares, and I'm going to roll it on. This is harder than it looks, and if you're doing this under pressure, it's really worthwhile if you've practiced it a few times.
Yep.
Because the first aid is going to be nervous too, not just the victim. Your hands are shaking a bit, and it's easy to drop the bandage.
After the compression bandage is on, the next step is to immobilise Bill's arm. A stick or a rolled up newspaper could work. But the survival snakebite kit comes with a mouldable splint, which is lightly held in place with a regular bandage.
I'm keeping the limb below the heart. You know, a lot of people think, oh gee, do I raise the limb above the heart? Well, you don't want the limb to drain, do you? So you want to keep everything below the heart. If you lose consciousness or you get crook, I'm going to lay you on your side, put you in a recovery position.
Yep.
And if your heart stops, I'm going to start CPR, just like you would for anyone.
Yep.
And when they get to hospital, they're going to want to know where you were bitten. You might be a bit out of it to tell them.
Yep.
So what they're going to do is they're just going to peel the bandage back where we've made that cross.
Yep.
They'll take a swab of the bite. That's going to help them determine what snake that bit you, and that way you get the right antivenom.
So long as the area is safe, Craig says it's vital that Bill is not moved at all and waits for medical help to arrive.
Just taking half a step back in terms of, I guess, not getting bitten in the first place. Do you ever hear of snakes actually making it through denim or boots or anything like that?
Australian snakes have quite small fangs for their size and for their potency, and a pair of trousers, pair of jeans, pair of walking boots will go a long way towards minimising the chance that you're going to get bitten. A pair of sturdy leather boots will block almost all snake bites. A pair of jeans would probably block 70% of brown snake bites.
Craig, that was a fantastic lesson, mate. Thanks so much. I think we'll feel a whole lot safer out there in the bush because of this.
No trouble at all.
It's worth noting that this same procedure can be followed for funnel web spider bites as well. Next, our Heartbreak Hill delivers some knockabout action as we splash our way across the best four-wheel drive spots on the Barrington Tops. And make sure you check out the Mr 4x4 app at mr4x4.com.au.